My name's Michael. I'm a 61-year-old male, and I have my own business, which I've grown to be very, very successful. Well, guys, you won't believe this because my sister-in-law, she wants it. She wants every bit of it. She wants the shares, she wants to be the CEO, and she wants me out of here. Well, she didn't do this using hard work or any tactics like that. Oh no! She decided to go a different route, and this route is sickening because she's accusing me of something so ridiculous, so heinous, so toxic that I can't even walk in public without somebody shoving a newspaper in my face saying, "Look at this, you're in the newspaper for being accused of this, but guys, I am innocent, and I'm not going to let someone spoil my name, so I get the best lawyer they have, the best lawyer across all the seas, and I come up with a plan to destroy her, and I am going to do it." I'm 61 and male, and I'm so unaware of everything that's happening around me that the article that sits in my hand titled, "Silencing the Powerful, Courageous Accuser Steps Forward Against Respected Business Leader," further confuses me with the fact that this is about me. I've been accused of sexual harassment by somebody from within the company. I've been accused of something so heinous, even though I've not done a thing. I'm unsure where to start to make you believe me, so I'll begin with my history. I'm sure you'll trust me because if there's any victim in this entire fiasco, it's me. I must admit that I've lived a comfortable life. My parents were well off when I was born, and by the time I was in my 20s, we were living in a rich neighborhood. My father started the company when he was in his 30s, and by the time I turned 26, the company was already in my hands. From the very beginning, I was clear about what I was supposed to do. I'd been given a direction, and I had to follow through it, no questions asked. To ensure I followed through with expectations, I gave my entire life to the company, and I dedicated all my efforts to the company. It was because of this company that I met the love of my life, Angela. She recently passed away of a massive heart attack, but it was through this company that I've met her. It's for the reason that I continue and consider the company magical. So much has happened because of it, and so many people have found a livelihood because of this very company. This place seems important to me. My only goal has been to maintain this company well even after my death. The only candidate I could find for this same is my son, August, who's 36 years of age. He's shown potential from the very beginning. Even as a child, he excelled at topics that I had trouble understanding as a young man. At first, it seemed like he would follow through with my steps, and after all, everything was to be his. However, he eventually decided he did not want the company and his interest is somewhere else. I'm still not sure what the interest or passion is. He defends the idea of his passion, but he's never made it clear what stuff he's putting effort into. Regardless, our differing points have created a little tension between us, for certain. No matter how much I try to bridge this gap, it never works out, and ever since he declared that I've been constantly anxious about the company, there are several people I can trust this company on, but I'm not entirely sure they're capable people. Because of that, when my son found a woman to marry, I was the most hopeful about his married life. Emily not only seemed like a nice and lively person, but she was also business-minded. Her knowledge and interest in the working of the business have just always seemed profound to me. In her, I soon found hope for the company, my company. I waited for a long time to understand her passion, and during this time she worked hard just to prove her worth as well. When I suggested starting at a higher point from this company, she refused and solemnly concluded that she would first like to focus on developing herself as per the needs of the company. After that, she would work her way upward. This has the most wonderful effect on me, and as I said earlier, I saw the future of the company inside her. By the time she climbed up the ladder and into the HR department, I was sure she was going to handle the company after me. August has never shown any objection to this idea either, so I always believed Emily to be the safest bet. I admit, I badgered August about the company a lot. That is probably one of the reasons why he just feels so annoyed with me. Since the marriage, I've stopped doing so. Because of Emily, I supposed August feels less pressured by my hopes and wishes, and in my opinion, this has resulted in more understanding between us. Although it took a while, my relationship with both August and Emily has grown better. This change, although subtle, has also helped me cope with the loss of my wife and the inevitable loneliness that comes with old age. I expected it to stay from some time. Instead, this all slipped through my fingers as quickly as it had come. One of the reasons, of course, has been something that I must share with you. Perhaps you'll understand the tension that came soon after my brief reconciliation with my son. Everything was passing on smoothly until I received an anonymous tip stating that something was wrong and happening in my company. However, it was the words potential fraud that made me the most curious. In all years I've handled the company, that has never happened. I did not tell August about it right away, or anyone else for that matter, and I started looking through the files and records myself. It took me some time to understand most of it, and everything seemed so messy to me. It's only been a little more than a week since I discovered the faults within the records, so this accusation against me has only brought a little interruption in my interrogation. A well-timed interruption, if I must say. I was still getting familiar with the ways of the person behind this entire fraud when I was charged with sexual advances, an accusation this morning. I must mention the urgency of this situation, and the fraud has cost my company millions of dollars, but this accusation will cost me my life. Both August and Emily have been in my office since the morning. With how well dressed they look, you would not expect to see such scorn written across their faces. However, all I see is a deep-seated hatred for me and utmost contempt for the fact that I've been accused of something so heinous. Despite my age and my experience, I feel small in front of them. I'm innocent, but they make me feel like I've done something wrong. Perhaps it makes sense that they don't believe me. Though it's also true they don't believe me when I highlighted the urgency behind the potential fraud in the company. I remember talking to both of them over dinner 3 days ago, and I did not know how to begin. Because talking about something so big hurt me, so I blurted out everything at once, and by the time I was done, my wrinkly hands were shaking and I felt wronged. Both August and Emily took their time reacting to the information. When they did, I was disappointed by the lack of intensity in their words. They tried to dismiss this entire idea with a wave of their hands, and they said maybe I should have someone else look at the records. After all, I am old. They implied that maybe, because of my old age and sentiments, I missed several details. Emily even suggested the name of someone in the accounting department, and I was sure I did not know that person. Still, I ate my dinner in silence and vowed to bring the evidence to both of them in due time. I was still gathering my evidence when this entire thing decided to break out. I woke up this morning to the news that I had, hurt some people from the company, and I called both August and Emily over to the office and showed them the article. The article now sits in my hands, and August repeats the words and scoffs at me. He seems absolutely disgusted. In all the years that we have argued about several points, it's only now that I feel completely abandoned by my son. Emily has not said a word, but I know she has much to say. She is a woman too, after all. Although their reactions are valid considering the accusations, I still feel hurt that I don't have either of them standing up for me. If only they showed a little more trust, I would have had the bravery to handle this false accusations with a bit more strength. However, when my secretary knocks on my door and announces the presence of police, I hand myself over to them in silence. They drag me through the office with a little more force than necessary. Perhaps they too hate the idea of someone of my age being accused of sexual harassment. You do lose trust and respect for people like that, right? It all makes sense to me. That's why even though the media people thrust their cameras at me and call me names, I keep my mouth shut. It's only when one of them has screamed something about me having tarnished my father's legacy with my, quote, disgusting habit that I feel hurt. Although neither my son nor my daughter-in-law has come to speak for me during this entire time. I'll update you guys about how it goes for me, and I will prove my innocence, and I will keep fighting for that until my death. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. So today's story is a wild ride, including a business and OP who is accused of something heinous. I have 3 updates for us to hop into, so let's go ahead and jump into the first one. If you guys are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, guys. It helps support a lot, and I thank you for that. Here is update number 1. How do I begin this? I'll start from the beginning. I was taken in by cops and they asked me so many questions. Through all of that, I just asked for my lawyer and they left me alone for several hours in that little room before coming back to ask me more questions. I refused to say a word. In the end, they called my lawyer, and when he came, I told him everything that I had told them and answered his questions as required. He said he knows I'm innocent, but no one else has the obligation to believe it. Very few people know me, and well, several people in my position have misused their positioning. It's only natural that very few people will even trust me. The only thing that bothered me about this is that neither my son nor my daughter-in-law are not a part of the little trusting group. He advised me to say only the things that he's suggesting, and I affirmed my understanding. As you can guess, this entire fiasco has resulted in different mishaps. Not only has this ruined my reputation and harmed the company's name, but several employees have filed for resignation. People are making up things about me that I have actually never done. This company is receiving bad online reviews, and several different right groups have been protesting it in front of the company's building. This all makes sense. This is at least that they should happen to someone accused of something like this, but what bothers me is that it's all baseless. I've never touched anyone, except my wife. Angela was the only person I've been with my entire life. To assume my interest ever laid anywhere except in my wife, family, and the company would be so wrong. The only trouble, of course, is how to inform everyone else about my innocence. So, because my case is high profile, it is unfolding very quickly. In the middle of all this, I called for August and Emily, and it's needless to say neither of them has bothered to contact me. When my friends come to visit, I asked if they've contacted my family. They shake their heads. Agitated, I started talking about the company. It's during these conversations that I asked them to look over the financial records and transactions of the company. If they find anything similar like I did, they should inform my lawyer about that immediately, because the timing seems so intentional. Both my lawyer and I have suspected the involvement of the same person who could be committing the potential fraud. My lawyer has often hinted that there could be a direct link between both cases. I've had my suspicion since the beginning, but my lawyer is insisting. He's helping me work on the suspicion more. 2 days later, my friends returned with news. The case is of embezzlement, and my daughter-in-law Emily is at the center of the entire thing. Through my shock and disgust, I listened to my friend and lawyer, and Emily had begun creating fake transactions once they were set in motion. She diverted the company's funds to her own account. Sometimes she made use of unauthorized checks, and sometimes she even did it electronically. She forged signatures, created false documents, and altered financial records to avoid detection. Because the sums were not too large, it worked out for her. But after a while, when she realized that she was moving undetected, with the help of some other people, she created a fake employee profile. These, quote, people were getting paid for doing nothing. In reality, all the funds were shared by her and the people she was working with. If not for the internal audit that I asked the day before the accusation was filed against me, we would not have found this out. What's more is, the next thing I find out is that Emily is one of 3 women who has filed this case against me. I now understand why she was so silent and dismissive when I discussed the topic with her. It also makes sense why she was reacting so oddly when she met me in the morning. I'm going to be brutally honest with you guys. I've never done or said anything to Emily in all the years I've known her. I've only treated her as my daughter, and I've always been the most sure that she's a perfect spouse for my son, and I've always held the greatest admiration for the person and perseverance. The fact that she did so much and filed a case against me as such is not only heartbreaking but a wrongful act too. Did she do all this just to save her name in front of the world and August to protect herself? Have I made her feel uncomfortable? However, even August's behavior seemed a bit off to me. His reactions were almost similar to Emily's, and the only difference was that he thought he was guarded. He was more open about showcasing his emotions. Are both of them equally involved in this? Feeling devastated, I ask all three of them to leave me alone for a while. This is, I have realized, too much to take in, and I'm not sure what the steps I'll take next are, but I will keep you updated about everything that is to come. Update number 2. Ever since I found out the truth, my fight to prove my innocence has become more vigorous. I have to face several rights groups, and I have to deal with the general bashing of the press. But it does not make me lose hope that someday I will get my justice. In this entire struggle, I see so little of August and Emily that the rift that I believe has ended has come alive again. I feel angry. I feel backstabbed. I don't know why either of them did what they did, but I mostly do not understand August. It is indeed true, the passion lies somewhere else, but what reason could he have to hurt his father like this? I mean, he's planned this with Emily, hasn't he? I have so many questions. I'm sure this is enough to make a sane man go crazy, and it takes a long time and many brutal, insulting questions before I even see hope for myself. Under much pressure and a potential case against himself, one of the three women breaks down first. She admits to having lied after Emily's suggestion. They still have to reveal why that suggestion was made in the first place, however, I knew. I already knew. Even so, at my lawyer's suggestion, I kept silent, and I'm also not sure if Emily was the only one who planned this entire thing, but I take a little interest in discovering the factor of this false accusation. A lot of damage has already been done. August seems a little surprised by the revelation. I realize perhaps not the entire way then, because my emotions waver a little. I approach him with those feelings, thinking perhaps I would be able to salvage something from this, however he ignores me. When the case is adjourned for the day, he immediately runs for Emily, and I watch him try to console her, despite knowing full well what she's done to his own father. Well, it hurts me. Perhaps my lawyer was right when he said they deserve each other. It is then that I realize I've lost the both of them, and perhaps I should accept that I'm going to die without either by my side. The final ruling takes a while to come. During the wait, both my lawyer and I sat down to discuss how to approach the situation after this. We have every reason to believe things will be in my favor, so the planning takes little emotion and more legal approach, and my friends ask if I want to do something against August too, but nothing can be done against him without any evidence. The funds are transferred to Emily's account, and, well, without any evidence, I don't know, never to August's account. Even if August has done something, we will have a hard time proving it in court, and we eventually decide on Emily first. If there's anything she wants to disclose about August, she will do that herself. The day the court announces me innocent should have been joyful, right? But it isn't. Sure, yeah, a weight has been lifted from my shoulders that was so cruelly shoved onto me, but I am just glad that it's over. I've lost almost everything I've known in the past few months. How could anything be joyful after that? The only good thing is that I can finally do something about Emily. The article that now sits in my hands is titled, "Justice Prevails. Respected businessman exonerated in false sexual allegations of assault. Is that so? Perhaps not, and the public will soon know why. With the help of an attorney, I charged and sued Emily for fraud, defamation of character, and malicious prosecution. False sexual harassment charges will never look good on your character. And Emily and the other 2 women are going to find that out. There's little need to take pity on them, too, and all 3 women are in their late 30s and have come from well-off families. The fact that they would resort to something like that already makes them look bad. Although the tide has changed, the media tries to eat them just like they did to me, and I'm not saying it provided me satisfaction because as an old man, you don't want to see younger people suffer, but it was deserved. I've given so much of myself to see both Emily and August happy, and they in return have cared little for the value of it. Perhaps all of this will teach them, and I hope it teaches both of them something because all of this has taught me a lot. All in all, in the little moment I got to talk to Emily after she was proven to be guilty, well, all I asked her was why she did that to me. Her face just immediately took a cruel expression, and I realized she does not feel bad about it at all. The only thing she feels bad about is that she got caught. According to her plans, I should not have been proven innocent, and her intention was for me to be proven guilty and given a long life sentencing. The company would have eventually belonged to her. August never wanted anything to do with the company anyway, so it was a win-win situation for them. She just shrugged her shoulders and went her way, and after that I never talked to her again. I just felt sorry for her. Perhaps I should not have felt that way, though. August, on the other hand, has accepted his involvement with Emily, and he continued that it is true that he did not know about Emily's plan about filing such a case against me, but he, quote, did not care when he found out it was a lie. I could not understand how he admitted that. It seemed so careless to me. He was not sorry he hurt me. It had the deepest effect on me, and I have to be honest, I feel more hurt about the admittance from anything else. I asked him, why would he do this to me? Why? He didn't have a legible answer, and nothing that he said was proper and reasonable enough to commit fraud on such a grand scale. If he needed money, he could have always just asked me. He has never done that, and I swear on that, and it's always going to bother me that none of the money he spent on whatever he did wasn't even his to begin with. While Emily and he enjoyed themselves with the money, the rest of the company worked hard. Unknowingly, all of our employees were working hard to pay for their amusement, and yes, it makes me so upset. When I realized during this entire thing I failed my employees, I took it to public to announce my final decision. August accompanied me after I convinced him, and I told him we need to address this issue as we are the representation of it. I even said that he does not need to be in front of the camera because the center has always been me. By this time, Emily has already spent 3 weeks behind bars, and she has not apologized to me even once. Maybe that's another proof that she doesn't feel guilty at all. She had a purpose, and that was to fulfill whatever fantasies both she and August had, and now sometimes, when my friends crack up with a joke that now she'll fulfill her fantasy behind prison, I laugh along. I don't mean to, but sometimes I do. Anyways, let's go back to the present now. I took it to the public and finally addressed the issue. At the end of the questions answering session, I addressed the most important point of this entire meeting, the future of my son August. I began with how my wife and I raised August, and how his passion and my differing opinion on his future created a rift between us, and how when Emily came back the relationship mended a little, but then all hell broke loose when I received the anonymous tip. In the middle of that, I announced his involvement in the fraud, and to say the media went berserk would be an understatement. I ended my speech by announcing that I've disowned August and I have no relation to him anymore. To say August's face was something to look at. The next morning, when I received my daily newspaper, I knew long before I saw the main page what would be the headline. The actual one seemed the closest to what I had in mind. Fallen from Grace. Businessman exposes son's fraud and publicly disowns him, and I shall come back with another update in due time. Thank you for listening. Update number 3. This is the final update. I have to begin with my company since it's gone through a tremendous upheaval since the entire thing began. Several employees have left the company, many more are in the process of leaving, and there are chances that some of the ones who are left may not be as loyal anymore. The company has lost nearly all partnership and the market value has absolutely crashed. And there are a few people or companies who want to associate with us. I have indeed been proven innocent, but the fact that I was accused in the first place of something like that, it's going to haunt me for a very long time. With a few people, I try to rebuild my reputation, and we're starting campaigns. I attended more conferences, meetings, and sessions, just to talk about the situation to create a bit of an awareness about it. Although some things heal, people still keep their distance, and we open doors for noobs. Keep an open mind about who to employ, and even promised increased pay, but it all seemed to do very little. In the middle of this, weeks after I disowned August, he contacted me 3 times, and all 3 times he has tried to reason with me that he is ready, to take over the company after me, but I refused. I mean, let's be honest. I know he's not here for sincere concern for the company. From what I've heard, he's having a hard time keeping up with his livelihood. It was to happen. August never worked for a day in his life, not once. All he did was follow his passion and even neglected his studies. Besides, his lack of education background, despite coming from such an affluent family, and his name is forever tarnished by the mere fact that he was involved in millions of dollars worth of fraud in his own company. What sane company would want an employee like that? Even if I don't want to sound the way I know I will sound when I say this, August has brought this upon himself. Even though we have all gone our ways and found different futures ahead of ourselves, I will always wonder where I failed and why these two ended the way that they did. Something went wrong. I'll spend my remaining life rebuilding not only the trust of people lost in me, but also wondering what made the situation so bad that old August and Emily had to go on and commit something like that. Well, we find out at the end of the story, August, aka OP's son, was disowned. But there's going to be some lingering effects, just like OP said. Yeah, OP got out of, the problem he was in, technically, by being exonerated from all charges, and even turning around and pressing charges. And, he wanted defamation of character and all sorts of other things, and he got it. She was convicted. However, I do want to know what you guys think, because like OP said in the story, for the rest of his life, his business partners, the people down the street, walking to go to the cafe, they're going to look at him a little bit different because he was accused of such a heinous crime. And you know how some people might think, I don't know if he did it or not. Maybe he just got off because he had a good lawyer. Well, guys, let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section, and let me know what you would do if you were OP and you were accused of something so heinous and you know you didn't do it. Drop your comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed today's story. It was a handful. We have plenty of other stories if you want to check out the playlist in the description below. Also, check out the Instagram channel, Mr. Reddito. You can find that link down below as well. We have short stories on there and also daily updates of the channel. So guys, I hope to see you tomorrow. Hit that subscribe button, but do remember this. It's cool to be kind. See ya.